How do you know you're not dreaming right now? Take a moment to really consider this question. Look around you. Everything seems real, solid, and tangible. But that's exactly how dreams feel while we're in them, isn't it? This wasn't just an idle thought experiment for René Descartes. In 1637, he embarked on an extraordinary intellectual journey that would revolutionize philosophy. He asked himself, what if we could only trust things we know with absolute certainty? When most people consider this question, they quickly point to their senses as the foundation of certainty. I know this is real because I can see it, touch it, hear it. But our senses deceive us constantly. We see mirages in the desert. We hear phantom phone vibrations in our pocket. We experience vivid hallucinations when we're sleep deprived. Others might appeal to memory and personal experience. I remember how I got here. I know my own history. Yet memory is notoriously unreliable. Studies have shown that eyewitness testimony, once considered the gold standard of evidence, is often deeply flawed. What about logic and mathematics? Surely 2 plus 2 must equal 4. But even here, Descartes found room for doubt. What if, he wondered, there was some all-powerful deceiver, a malicious demon, who could make us believe false things were true? I remember experiencing this kind of radical doubt firsthand. One night, I had an extraordinarily vivid dream where I was living a completely different life. I had a different job, different friends, different memories. Everything felt absolutely real and coherent. When I woke up, for several disorienting seconds, I wasn't sure which reality was the real one. This experience made me realize how fragile our certainty really is. This is the challenge of radical doubt that Descartes posed. If we can't trust our senses, our memories, or even our reasoning, what can we trust? Is there anything we can know with absolute, unshakable certainty? The answer Descartes found would become one of the most famous philosophical arguments in history. But before we get there, it's worth sitting with this uncomfortable question. How do you really know anything at all? Let's follow Descartes' path of systematic doubt, peeling away each layer of certainty until we reach the core. Like a skilled detective investigating their own mind, Descartes began by questioning our most basic source of knowledge: sensory experience. Our senses seem trustworthy at first glance. After all, you can see these words right now, can't you? But our senses deceive us regularly in ways both subtle and profound. According to a 2022 study in the Journal of Neuroscience, up to 80% of amputees experience phantom limb sensations, feeling pain or movement in a limb that no longer exists. How can we trust our senses when they can so convincingly feel something that isn't there? Even vision, our most relied upon sense, proves remarkably unreliable. The McGurk effect, a perceptual phenomenon discovered in 1976, demonstrates that what we hear can be changed by what we see, showing how our brain constructs reality rather than simply perceiving it. In one famous experiment, 98% of participants reported hearing different sounds when shown different lip movements, even though the audio remained exactly the same. Perhaps we can trust our memories instead. But here too, the evidence is troubling. Elizabeth Loftus, a pioneering researcher in memory psychology, has demonstrated that false memories can be implanted with disturbing ease. In her landmark 1995 study, 25% of participants were convinced they had been lost in a shopping mall as children after being presented with a false story about the incident. These weren't vague impressions. Participants reported detailed, vivid memories of events that never occurred. Well, surely we can trust mathematics and logic. 2 plus 2 must equal 4, right? But even here, Descartes found reason to doubt. What if, he proposed, there exists some all-powerful deceiver, a malicious demon, capable of manipulating our very ability to reason? This might seem far-fetched, but consider, if you were in a perfectly simulated reality, how would you know? All your experiences of mathematics and logic could be part of the simulation. Even scientific truths, which seem so solid and reliable, rest on assumptions we can't absolutely prove. The scientific method itself assumes the universe operates according to consistent, discoverable laws. But how can we be certain of this? As physicist Werner Heisenberg noted, what we observe is not nature itself, but nature exposed to our method of questioning. The more deeply Descartes pushed his skepticism, the more certainties crumbled. Can you be sure you're not dreaming right now? Can you be absolutely certain that the universe wasn't created 5 minutes ago, complete with false memories and artificial evidence of a longer history? Can you prove definitively that you're not a brain in a vat, receiving electrical signals that simulate all your experiences? This is the intellectual crisis Descartes reached, a state of complete skepticism where nothing could be taken for granted. Everything we think we know might be an illusion. Every belief we hold might be false. Every certainty might be a deception. It's a terrifying place to be. Most people, when they reach this point, retreat back to comfortable assumptions. But Descartes pressed on, because he realized that in this darkness of doubt, in this void where all certainties had been stripped away, something remarkable remained, something that would become the foundation for a new kind of certainty. In the depths of his radical doubt, Descartes made a discovery that would change philosophy forever. The breakthrough came not from what he could prove true, but from the very act of doubting itself. Even if everything else was an illusion, even if all his senses, memories, and reasoning were being manipulated by some cosmic deceiver, the fact that he was doubting proved something profound. To doubt, you must think, and to think, you must exist. This realization led to his famous declaration, cogito, ergo sum. I think, therefore I am. It's a deceptively simple statement that contains within it an unshakable truth. Even if everything else is an illusion, even if we're living in a simulation or being deceived by an evil demon, the very act of considering these possibilities proves we exist. What makes this different from all other claims to knowledge? Every other statement relies on assumptions that could be doubted. I see a tree assumes our senses are reliable. 2 plus 2 equals 4 assumes our reasoning isn't being manipulated. But I think, therefore I am, is unique. The very act of doubting it proves it true. According to research published in Cognitive Science in 2022, this type of self-referential certainty is unique in human cognition. No other kind of knowledge has this special property of being proven true by the very act of questioning it. The implications of this discovery were profound. In finding this one unshakable truth, Descartes had identified something remarkable about consciousness and existence. As neuroscientist Antonio Damasio noted in his 2021 book, Feeling and Knowing, this insight highlighted the special nature of consciousness. It's the one thing we can't be wrong about having. This breakthrough has fascinating implications for modern discussions about artificial intelligence and consciousness. Can an AI system truly doubt its own existence? According to a 2023 survey published in the Journal of Artificial Intelligence Research, 43% of AI researchers believe that true self-awareness, akin to the kind Descartes identified, will be necessary for genuine artificial general intelligence. The relationship between thinking and being that Descartes identified has also influenced modern neuroscience. A 2024 meta-analysis of fMRI studies, published in Neuron, identified a consistent network of brain regions that activate during self-referential thinking, suggesting a neural basis for the kind of self-awareness Descartes described. But perhaps most importantly, Descartes' breakthrough showed us something fundamental about the nature of certainty. In a world where we're increasingly unsure what to believe, where deepfakes and misinformation blur the lines between truth and fiction, the Cogito reminds us that certainty is possible, but it begins with our own conscious experience. This wasn't just a philosophical parlor trick. Descartes had found a foundation on which to rebuild knowledge, a starting point of absolute certainty. From this one unshakable truth, he would attempt to reconstruct everything we can know about ourselves and the world. Having established the certainty of self-conscious existence through "I think, therefore I am," Descartes provided humanity with more than just a philosophical proof. He gave us a methodology for building reliable knowledge. This approach continues to influence fields far beyond philosophy, from artificial intelligence to cognitive science. In modern consciousness studies, Descartes' insight has proven remarkably prescient. According to a 2023 meta-analysis published in Neuroscience and Biobehavioral Reviews, the neural networks associated with self-awareness and metacognition, our ability to think about our own thoughts, form a distinct pattern that researchers call the consciousness signature. The implications for artificial intelligence are particularly fascinating. As we work to develop more sophisticated AI systems, Descartes' framework raises crucial questions. According to a 2024 survey published in the Journal of Artificial Intelligence Research, 43% of AI researchers believe that true artificial general intelligence will require some form of self-awareness, similar to what Descartes described in the Cogito. This isn't just theoretical. Companies like DeepMind are actively working on implementing forms of machine self-modeling and metacognition. In scientific methodology, Cartesian doubt has evolved into what we now call methodological skepticism. A striking example comes from the development of mRNA vaccines. When traditional vaccine development methods seemed too slow for the COVID-19 crisis, scientists had to systematically question every assumption about vaccine creation. This process of methodical doubt led to breakthrough innovations, much as Descartes' systematic questioning led to philosophical breakthroughs. The influence extends to psychology and cognitive science. A 2022 study published in Nature Neuroscience found that patients with impaired self-awareness following brain injury showed reduced activity in regions associated with self-referential thinking, the very capacity Descartes identified as fundamental to conscious existence. Perhaps most importantly, Descartes' method has influenced how we approach truth and knowledge in an age of increasing uncertainty. In a world of deepfakes, misinformation, and competing claims to truth, his systematic approach to doubt offers a valuable framework. Start with what you can know with certainty and build carefully from there. This methodology has proven particularly valuable in cybersecurity and digital forensics. According to a 2023 report from the Center for Strategic and International Studies, Organizations that employ systematic skepticism, questioning every input and assumption, are 37% more effective at detecting sophisticated cyber attacks than those that don't. The lasting influence of cogito ergo sum isn't just in its conclusion, but in its method. It shows us that doubt, when properly applied, isn't the enemy of knowledge. It's the foundation of genuine understanding. As we face new challenges in artificial intelligence, consciousness research, and the search for truth in a complex world, Descartes' methodical approach to building knowledge from a foundation of certainty remains as relevant as ever. If you were attempting Descartes' experiment in radical doubt today, what would be the last thing you could doubt? What truth would remain when everything else has been stripped away? Consider your own experience of consciousness and how it relates to Descartes' discovery. In an age of rapid advancement in artificial intelligence, we must ask, could an AI system have its own cogito ergo sum moment? What would it mean for a machine to be genuinely certain of its own existence? Would such a realization be comparable to human self-awareness, or would it be fundamentally different? How might Descartes' method of systematic doubt apply to your daily life and decision-making? In a world flooded with misinformation and competing claims to truth, what can his approach teach us about building reliable knowledge? Finally, consider how cogito ergo sum relates to modern scientific investigations of consciousness and self-awareness. These questions aren't merely academic. They touch on fundamental aspects of human existence and our relationship with technology, truth, and consciousness itself. Perhaps, like Descartes, the key to finding answers lies not in accepting what we think we know, but in being brave enough to doubt.